Greetings, humans. I, the guiding light of demigodness, would like to talk about something. Some fresh degeneracy out of Sweden, where the establishment consisting of cultural Marxists and, in some cases, even outright communists had stopped accepting this feminine narrative, the feminine beta-leftist narrative, and the cultural Marxist and politically correct hegemony is fucking extreme communist, cultural Marxist, feminist, multiculturalism and massive immigration. And, have cut off their cock vicious cultural Marxist indoctrination. The cultural Marxist establishment say that modernity and cultural Marxism, gay pride and gay propaganda. I'm opposed to the multicultural hell project. This is a declaration of war against feminism for me right now. Look at all the fucking books behind me. I've read them all. Do not participate in a degenerate lifestyle by third worlders or Muslims or whatever. Fucking busted cunts of feminists. Porn is not your friend. Porn is your enemy. For me, Adolf Hitler was a very accomplished economist. And that's basically it.
Hang on a minute, is this real? Are you a real person, or are you just doing a parody of a complete twat? Hello there, hello there, hello there, and welcome, one and all, to episode 23 of The Descent of Man-osphere, the series where I take you through the ways in which the manosphere and its utterly disgusting inhabitants are trying to reverse human evolution and drag us all back into the fucking sea. And today we're dealing with a proud, patriotic man from Sweden. In fact, so patriotic is he that he lives over 1,000 miles away in the Republic of Ireland. Brilliant. Yes, it's the Golden One! Now, the Golden One is arguably the most ridiculous of all the people we've focused on so far in this series. He's not necessarily the most hateful, although he is hateful, of which more later. He is probably the most ridiculous. I mean, as you saw from that intro, the guy is fucking shredded. I mean, he is basically unhealthily large. In fact, every time I look at him, I can't help but be reminded of this bit from Family Guy.
What's going on, B-? What's a heps?
Stewie, you look gross. You look like Lou Ferrigno's poop.
I look like a guy who's been hitting the gym.
It has nothing to do with the gym. You're on drugs.
Doesn't matter how you find the pot of gold, B to the Ryan. All that matters is that you beat the leprechauns.
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't have to make sense when you look like this. Ugh!
But anyway, as with everyone in this series, he has a ridiculous disrespect for women. I mean, that's sort of one of the key components of all of the people involved in this series that sort of basically qualifies you for entry into the Hall of Shame that is The Descent of Man-osphere. So I've put together a little clips package here, which I'm going to put at the beginning of the video, basically to get it out of the way, because even though he is a horrible fucking misogynist twat and a sort of traditional patriarchal fucking arsehole, although at least he's honest about it, unlike some of them, the really interesting bits of him lie in his political thinking, and I use the word thinking very loosely there. So let's have a look at his misogynist bullshit first.
When it comes to your little sisters and your daughters, if you have them, like, be uncompromising in this. It doesn't matter if some fat feminist who can't get a man of her own says like, oh, you shouldn't control your women. If she doesn't listen, you can either be a pussy-whipped feminist and listen to her, or you can say, no, I'm in charge of your safety. You do not go out, and you certainly do not go out dressed like that. I'm gonna go to the gym, and then I'm gonna go home and violate my fair maiden. So they took this beautiful young feminine girl and turned her into this. And let's not spend any more time discussing whether this is absolutely degenerate or not. Everyone can see that this is not a pretty, this is not a healthy, natural girl. You're fucking cowards. You have no concept of honor. I fucking spit on you. I have nothing but contempt for you. You are... you're a fucking affront to women's rights. You profess to stand up for women. The Western world is that the feminine voice has completely steamrolled the masculine voice, which, I will tie this into current predicament, has resulted in the mass invasion of hostile forces. The more high value you are, the more high value man you can get. And do not expect to get a high value man if you can't clean or cook.
So, with that dealt with, let's get on with his politics, okay? Now, the Golden One is a nationalist. He's a Swedish nationalist, although, like I say, he lives over 1,000 fucking miles away in the Republic of Ireland. But he's also like a European nationalist as well. Keeps going on about being on Team Europe and you know, Sons of Mother Europe and all this fucking absurd shite. And as an extreme rightist, he couldn't help but do some historical revision in a video entitled Adolf Hitler and the Real Reason for World War II. And yes, this is bad. This is really, really fucking bad.
Today I want to delve into a very important topic, a bit taboo. I agree, I don't do myself any favors by talking about these sort of things, but I need to be true to my ideals of honesty as well. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because the official narrative of why the Second World War happened is so childlike in its simplicity. So I just have to get a video out there giving a more realistic view of the war.
Hold on to your hats, people. We're on the fucking crazy train now.
Now, the official narrative is basically what we're being taught in school, etc. is that Hitler was a power-hungry man who wanted to destroy everything, and then you have this misconception of the master race, etc.
Firstly, Hitler was incredibly power-hungry, obviously. That's not even like, I don't even know many people who dispute that. That's ridiculous claim to have made. And also, as to your second point about the master race thing being a misconception, I wonder where people could have got such a misconception from exactly.
And also let me elaborate a bit on the Jewish situation in Europe at the moment. Germany was hardly the only place where, you know, the Jews were targeted.
Yes, and your point being exactly. Like, yeah, Jews were targeted in large parts of the Western world during the early part of the 20th century. That doesn't excuse what happened in Germany. It's one of the basic bits of parenting to say, don't blame the other kid just because they were doing it. Would you jump off a cliff if they jumped off a cliff? One of those sorts of things, you know. And yet you're pulling the same fucking bullshit now. You're a grown man. Get a fucking grip.
You know, the Jews were targeted. And we need to distinguish between the international Jewish banking community and individual Jews.
Why are you drawing that distinction, though? Because, you know, the Nazis didn't. And that was the whole point of what you're supposed to be talking about here. You're drawing an arbitrary distinction between different types of Jewish people that the Nazis did not.
However, let us not fool ourselves. I've seen a lot of red pill guys say like, oh, you know, nothing bad happened to the Jews during Hitler's Germany. That is absolutely false. We have 300,000 people, Jews, dying of malnutrition in working camps. And, you know, the Kristallnacht, it's hardly a conspiracy.
You've rather conveniently forgot to mention there the industrialised slaughter of millions of fucking people. The generally accepted figure is around 6 and a bit million, thereabouts. But okay, let's just ignore that, you know, 6 million plus strong mountain of corpses and just deal with what was your little potted history of Jewish oppression in Nazi Germany. You mentioned Kristallnacht. Now that is entirely down to the Nazis. And you mentioned 300,000 people who died of starvation in the labour camps. See, and this is a key part of Holocaust denial. You know, Holocaust deniers like you like to bring up. They'll say X number of people, and that X represents basically whatever number they feel like plucking out of their arse today. They'll say that X number of people died of starvation or some sort of contagious disease in the labour camps, in the concentration camps, whatever, right? And that this was just like a natural occurrence for which you can't blame the Nazis. But that's not fucking true. If you imprison people for whatever fucking reason, and let's just conveniently ignore the fact that these people were fucking imprisoned for just being Jewish or just being homosexuals or just being gypsies or Slavs or whatever, right? let's just ignore that. Let's just fucking gloss over that, you bigoted prick, right? For whatever reason you imprison somebody, you are ultimately responsible for their safety and for them being alive or not being alive. Because they can't fucking fend for themselves. They can't go out and find food. You have to provide them with food and sanitation and somewhere to fucking sleep and general safety, okay? So those 300,000, even if we accept your incredible revisionist bullshit, that still makes the Nazis responsible for the Kristallnacht, the destruction of Jewish property and the beating to death and general oppression of many Jews all across Germany at that time, and the essentially either culpable manslaughter or fucking outright murder of 300,000 people, which puts pay to your whole shtick about not taking a side in the war, which is a thing he mentions in several of his videos about he doesn't want to take sides with the Germans or the English because he's for Team Europe. Now, as much as there were transgressions, as you like to mention, on all sides, you know, there was Japanese internment in America, and there was, you know, Britain were very reticent to take Jewish emigres from the continent and things like that, okay? There was not an industrialised slaughter of millions of fucking people anywhere else but in Nazi Germany. So the fact that you're unwilling to take a side against that, all of that shows that you're no fucking better than any other Holocaust denier. What you're attempting to do here is excuse and explain away and ultimately deny the single greatest crime that our species has ever engaged in. You evil fucking prick.
Now, with that said, let me elaborate a bit on the real reason for the Second World War. It had nothing to do with a madman hungry for power wanting to conquer everything.
Yeah, it totally didn't have anything to do with Hitler being a madman that wanted to conquer everything. Absolutely not. I mean, it's not as if Nazi Germany invaded Czechoslovakia, Poland, Romania, the Channel Islands, the Netherlands, France, Belgium, Norway, Denmark, Greece, Egypt, Yugoslavia, the Soviet Union, Vichy France, Hungary, Italy. Oh wait, they totally did all of that. Yeah, they invaded all of those countries. So that sort of puts a massive hole in your fucking bullshit, doesn't it? You twat.
Now, I've talked long enough about everything except the real reason. To put it simply, and I suggest that you read up on this as well because it's really interesting and presents a more realistic view of things. Germany got stomped into the dust, and the Second World War was about Germany trying to break off from the international banking system.
The problem is, Golden One, we all know fully well that what you mean by international banking system is Jews. And just to ram home the point, I've put together a little compilation from some of his other videos where he exposes his anti-Semitism for all the world to see.
Yes, I'm fully fucking aware of Jewish media dominance and financial dominance. Now obviously you talk about the Jewish influence, and obviously, yeah, they perhaps had an interest in splitting up Europe, creating a multicultural project to further their own power in said nations. Yes, we should be well aware of the influence of Zionism. We should be well aware of the Frankfurt School and the origins of the Second World War. Greetings, childrens. Today I want to talk a bit about something that has been a long time coming, and that is the influence of the Jews in Western society. For me, Adolf Hitler was a very accomplished economist, and that's basically it. If you talk with a Jew, he will, bombard you with information as of what the Muslims, the Arabs, has done towards Israel. Now, why do mainstream media hate Dr. David Duke so much? Is it because he was part of a certain organization almost half a decade ago? No, it's actually not. It's because he calls out exactly what is going on in America. And he calls out Zionist control of it, and that is why mainstream media hates him.
Oh, God, for fuck's sake. After having searched through all of that fucking bile, I really don't think there's enough bleach in the world to ever make me feel clean again. But one funny thing did crop up as I was doing the research for that, and that was this one ridiculously inappropriate piece of advertising.
Yeah, that would be an advertisement in French for some fucking reason, for an online Hebrew course, which has been placed on a video by a massively rabid anti-Semite about white nationalism.
I really don't think YouTube have got a particularly great handle on the whole, targeted advertising thing just yet. There's a few wrinkles in that system that need ironing out. But having just seen him be anti-Semitic as fuck about events that happened 70 years ago, let's see him be Islamophobic as fuck about something that's only just happened.